where one of our favorite drivers, I'll let you try to take a guess, ended up winning today's race at Las Vegas, and another driver in the playoffs got disqualified. Let's talk about it on the Stuck in the Catchfence post-race show. Welcome in. Haven't pulled out a flag in a while, so we're gonna rock with that. We're rocking with the checkered flag. It's the post-race show. Oh my God, I couldn't get back in there. My name's Ryan Peters. I'm joined by Travis, but my voice has left the building because, when you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan and you are at the stadium, sometimes you have to be the extra guy to help your defense do what it can to try to win that game. And that's what I did today, getting my assist for that. So, I'm a little bit worn out. Travis hit the links, though. Took money from some guys, ended up watching his favorite driver win a race. I mean, any better Sunday possible, Travis?
Yeah, my golf went downhill because they got all the speakers and the golf carts now. So I'm over there watching the NBC broadcast on my phone, and then guy was like, "Hey, you got 132." Then I'll go hit it really quickly while I listen to the race, and then we're run back to the thing and hold right there and try to drive the golf cart. So didn't hit anything though. I did hit a lot of rough and some trees, unfortunately, but it's okay.
I usually, my golf game, I usually hit the woods pretty good. I just have a hell of a time getting out of them.
Yeah. So. I always say that, when I step on the rake, that's only 2 good balls I hit all day.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
typically.
I've never heard it. That's great. Well, I mean, the good thing is you can halfway pay attention to golf, end up beating your buddies because your guy end up winning the race today, Young Money, and he will have a highlight. And if you have not seen it in the thumbnail, that one single part of that race, if he gets a championship, will be something that we talk about from here on out for the rest of his career, because he had one of the most amazing saves that you can ever have. And we'll dive into that here in just a little bit when it comes to talking about Kyle Larson winning this race. But for the pace lap, the quick question, I want to know if you thought today's race was a good race. I don't know if my voice is going to hang out the whole time, so I'll bat lead off here real quick, and then I'll let you clean up. To be honest with you guys, I thought today's race is one of the more fun races that we had, especially in the final stage. I thought the final stage racing was tremendous. It was packed all throughout. You had 3 wide going for like 12th place. I mean, you had comers and goers in this race. My guy Kyle Busch ended up charging late. Christopher Bell was way back there, and then makes it to where if he literally had another lap, or if he actually probably redid turn 4, maybe had a chance to win that race. Probably another lap does win that race. It just seemed like there were all kinds of different things happening in that final stage. And that is the 1.5 mile racing that we've seen. It was a little bit lull there at the beginning, in the middle. I know you mentioned that to me too, Travis. But I just thought the final stage, which is over half of the race, just completely made up for it. And, we got what we wanted. We got a chance at the very last turn to have an opportunity for this race to be won by a certain driver. And it came down to that, and it wasn't manufactured due to a caution or anything else. It was just 2 guys at the end of 400 miles trying to get a win. So, I thought today was a great, great race.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, first stage, if it wasn't for like the 2-tire stuff and, some mixed in there, I was a little worried about the racing a little bit. I thought it was very 2020, 2021 package where whoever was in front could just kind of block. For the most part, there wasn't a whole lot of passing. It was, people would kind of get to the person's bumper and just stall out. I'm thinking of, when Christopher Bell was out front, Ross Chastain would get right to him and just could not pass him.
Right.
Larson did it a few times to Brad Kay, get right to him and just couldn't pass him because it was just, you could just pinch him down or whatever. But like you said, the last stage was packed. I thought it was awesome. I thought, maybe just because people were getting a little bit more aggressive, maybe on that edge where I thought it produced great racing because I was really worried about the first, maybe halfway through the second stage. And man, that's last stage really put on a good show and really made that the race where it wasn't like, it was like, whatever, a typical mile and a half in the Gen 6 to, all right, that's the typical, next gen that we like to see.
Yeah, and I think, what we needed was the race to widen out
Mm-hmm.
and to get the racing that we did. And oddly enough, it was your driver not running the high line. That's why he got chased down.
So funny you say that. I was we were not in the casino, but we were in the restaurant. We were in the steakhouse, and I'm there watching on my phone. And then they finally put it on the TV, and our food's trying to come. I'm like, get up, stop! What are you doing? And then they just making more ground up, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, just at least if you watched, like, it's easy as a couch racer to sit there and tell them what to do. But you're sitting there going, man, he just gets all these runs. And if you just disturb some of his air, he could get pushed up into the wall or whatever. But it worked out, great finish, great last stage. Had a lot of good entertainment, a lot of good storylines. So over all in all, great last stage that made that race a great race.
Yeah, and it gives me a lot of hope for next week as well, heading out to Homestead, because you're going to see the same thing. You're going to see, guys at the beginning of that race start at the bottom. That racetrack's just going to get wider and wider, and every racetrack that has multiple lanes typically produces great racing. So, I couldn't have been more pleased because, like you said, just to put a cherry on top of it, you watch these race and these guys, they're jumping in the cars, they're ready to go. Completely different circumstances. Like last time, they said this racetrack completely different than when they ran there in the spring. You could see it's kind of like a feeling out process, but once they got it felt out, these guys were racing. I mean, you saw guys running up top that you traditionally don't see run up top, and then you also saw guys running the bottom. I mean, and then
that always run the top, like like you just said, Larson was always on the top, and there he is run the bottom.
Yeah, and Seabell's typically not a guy that likes to run up top. And I know he's a dirt racer. It was two dirt racers, that have found each other, trying to race each other down there at the end more often than not. But Kyle Larson has been the guy that's got on the top of the podium more often than not in that Seabell battle, and he does again today. And we talked during the weekly show, the momentum for Kyle Larson and things of that nature and what it takes to win, especially when you look at the series of the three races, the round of 16, the round of 12, the round of 8. One of my guys was Christopher Bell, because I told you I thought Christopher Bell was much more suited for this round versus the previous round. The same thing was going to be said about Kyle Larson, though. Felt the exact same way. Felt like he could race really, really good at a mile and a half. Does well typically at Homestead, and then already won this year at Martinsville. I have mentioned it that I believe he's the championship favorite, and I've said that now for a while now. It just seems like him and Cliff Daniels are clicking, and I think just another tip of the hat to those two guys. I mean, watching this race, Travis, and maybe being more of a Kyle Larson fan, you can expand on it. It just seems like we don't have a lot of great crew chiefs out there anymore, and I feel like Cliff Daniels is that guy. I mean, he just says the right things that need to be said. He does the right things that need to be done, and and I feel like the guys with the two best crew chiefs at the end of this race were the guys at the end of it that finished at 1-2. I feel like Adam Stevens is a great crew chief and made calls for that group to do well. And I feel like the other crew chief that this guy could really use that doesn't have it because they made a terrible mistake is Cole Pern. I feel like Martin Truex Jr. really could have used a Cole Pern today instead of a James Small, because they made some really questionable decisions and they never recovered from it, from a track that they traditionally do well. So, maybe you can take more away from that, but being the Kyle Larson fan, where does this put you mentally, knowing now that essentially the next 2 weeks are buys?
Yeah, I think Cliff Daniels understands Larson. I think the cars were quick when Jimmy had Cliff Daniels, back in 2020, but I also just think that him and Jimmy didn't match. I think Jimmy was used to the Chad Canals of, hey, we're doing this. we're doing this, and this is the reason why. Where Cliff is like, hey, I'm gonna give you some feedback here. Perfect example is when Larson was in traffic. I think Cliff thinks outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
Larson got some traffic, and Cliff's like, hey, how'd the car handle there? And Larson's like, it was a little tight and blah blah. He's like, okay, that's good to know. He made that adjustment when he got back in traffic again, and he went from 8th up to 3rd pretty quickly. And I think Cliff got to hit it right off the mark. He understands Larson. I think they have a good chemistry. Cliff calms Larson down when he gets over aggressive, and just Cliff has a just calming voice. Doesn't get mad, doesn't get upset, doesn't get excited. Heck, they won today, and he just stood there and just was like this. I think a sigh of relief came out of him.
Right.
But I think there's, if you're in a Cup Series, I don't think you're a bad crew chief. I don't think there's anyone bad out there. You mentioned Adam Stevens, great. Smalls, I think he's good. I really do. I just think, like you said, a Cole Pern, Martin Truex, you could say Martin Truex did a heck of a lot better with Cole Pern than he did with, Small. But, if you're in the Cup Series level, I think you're just a good crew. You're just a good crew chief. There's probably people out there that are probably smarter than them, but they just haven't been noticed. I think Larson's crew chief is one of them. I think he was really under the table there for a while, and then bam, he got a chance, and he's shined from the moment he's really been there. So yeah, I think it's a connection too. I think it's just a voice. I didn't think Rudy Fugle was going to be good, to be honest with you. I was like, why are you taking a guy that's never been in Xfinity? You got to take him from the truck straight up to Cup. But look, him and Byron just have a connection.
Mm-hmm.
Fugle knows what Byron needs or wants. Great connection. So I think Adam Stevens was great when Busch had him, but it's also a connection thing as well.
Right. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that there's guys outside of Ben Bayshore that are really good in the series, and that you just see the separation of the best. The ones that do that just make the right calls. They say the right things, and more importantly, they take the information from what the driver's presenting them and know the driver's racing style to set up their cars the right way. And I feel like Randall Burnett and Kyle Busch have really done well this year. I think that they've gotten more out of those cars than what RCR has been able to put into those cars, as evident again by Austin Dillon finishing in the mid-20s and Kyle Busch getting 3rd. But I just listening to to Cliff Daniels, it just seems like all the things that can go through a driver's head, and Kyle Larson's really hard on himself. And Cliff Daniels, like you said, he's kind of like a therapist at the same time of being a really, really good crew chief. And I think those are, you got to have both things to win a championship. You got to have guys doing the right thing. You got to have guys saying the right thing, and you got to have a driver capable of winning a championship. And, to again, move back to the race saving move. Kyle Larson comes off of turn 2, gets completely sideways, back of the car, kisses the wall. He straightens it up and then leaves. I want to tell you this, that there is probably 2 drivers in the sport that can do that. I would say that Kyle Busch has done it before. He's definitely went on the apron one time at Daytona and came back up. I don't know if he would have done that. I don't think he probably would have done that, especially not at his age right now. And then Kyle Larson is another one. And the reason why is in that moment, their brains can say, I know exactly what to do. And this split of a second at 180 miles an hour. And that is probably, if he wins the championship, that should be put in the Hall of Fame with his bus for being a multi-champion, is that move right there. And the only way you get to do that is be a driver like Kyle Larson and be a driver like Kyle Busch, because you have raced every single car possible and you've raced in every single series to where you felt that before. You've been there before, and it just didn't happen to you randomly on Sunday, because he could have overcorrected that. I mean, Dale Earnhardt Jr., which, by the way, the NBC booth has done a terrific job compared to the Fox booth when it comes to breaking down analytically of this sport, what it needs. Telling everybody how hard that was. And Jeff Burton echoing it like, hey, guys, like, he kissed the wall. but that was like the best possible thing that could have happened, because if he would have done 1/10 of an inch on the wheel left or right, his ride's done. He's done. He completely loses. We're talking about him finishing 35th. And, now he has to win more than likely going into these last two races. And that's just something that I don't think right now will be appreciated unless he wins a championship. And then we'll go back and go, holy shit, he was one turn away from completely blowing it and losing it all. But it took a Kyle Larson to make that type of save.
Yeah, and I think, it's not really, I wouldn't even call it a save. I think he kissed the wall and he didn't overcorrect. I think there are just very few. And I think there's some luck involved in that. I'll be honest with you. Yeah. I think there was a very much a luck, but if you look back, he has done that a few different times. I think about Kansas in 2021. I know it was the other car. He did it. He went on to win. I know he's done it at Fontana. He's done it at some other places. So he knew what he felt. But like you said, just a quick reaction against the wall and not overcorrecting. I can think of a bunch of times this year where someone's hit that wall like that and just overcorrected right back into the wall. So kudos to him.
I believe his teammate that probably just ruined his Odor championship points in practice did that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what it looked like to me is Chase Elliott got sideways. He tried to overcorrect it and then pancaked the wall.
Yeah.
From the same move.
Yeah. And like I said, it's one of those things. And I think he had a small tire going down too, but but anyone in the whole, like I said, that's why I put up 0. I think it takes talent. It takes experience with that. And it takes some luck involved. And, and going back on the win, I look at, and I could not stand seeing some of those people not put Larson, and I just don't know if they haven't been paying attention or whatever, but, like Dale Jr. didn't even put him in his Final Four. And, I know, he's doing it maybe some for looks or you had to go different with somebody else. I get it. But, think about all the wins he should have won. Pocono, Darlington, Las Vegas. The first time around, he was winning with 10 laps to go. With 8 laps to go, Nakashi came out, 2-tire stop, got second. What else? He led with under 10 to go, and at Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas.
Oh my God, there's 10 wins right there. I think
Darlington,
I did the math.
He was doing really good, and then not doing well in that one.
Yeah, Texas. I mean, think about that. Larson could have easily 10 to 12 wins this year. Realistically, I'm not just putting a number out there because I'm his fan. But there's been, I had to really look back at the math, but I know it was 13 races, 4 races ago when he was leading with under 10 laps to go, and he only won 2. Now we're up to 4 wins now. And, 3 of those, I'd probably say he's been leading with under 10. It could have been a monster year, and he's gone very much under the radar from William Byron winning a lot of races. You had Martin Truex struggling. You got Denny Hamlin that's picked up some speed. He's kind of flew under that radar a little bit. And now he's here and he's probably favorite right now.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to being Cliff Daniels being your crew chief saying, he could absolutely had what could have been season. He's already won 10 races before and could have said, hey man, this should have been another season like that. And he's just like, we just got to keep advancing. Just keep advancing and everything will be all right.
Hey, just letting all the Chase Elliott fans know, Larson's only 1 win away from passing him on the Hendrick Motorsports win list.
Don't do that. They're struggling right now. They've been really holding on for me to not talk about the owners playoffs.
I know,
but that took a hit today, so maybe we don't have to worry about that anymore. But I do want to talk now moving forward to who had good days and who had bad days. If you want to choose one of each, or if there's just one guy that really stands out to you more than any of them. And I'll go first and I'll just lump this together. Outside of Christopher Bell, Toyota sucked today. And I just thought that was absolutely surprising to me. And when I say suck, that's relative to what, I expect out of mile and a half. Toyotas traditionally are great at mile and a half. We've seen Tyler Reddick win at mile and a half. We've seen Bubba Wallace do really, really good at mile and a half. Denny Hamlin is one of the best, and along with Martin Truex Jr., and none of them remotely close showed to that they had race-winning speed today. And all of them, except Bubba Wallace, are out of the playoffs, and the rookie Ty Gibbs, who had a hard time with the wall today as well. But I I was surprised how bad Toyota was outside of Christopher Bell. I thought that they would have a much higher presence, and that just simply did not happen today. So, my guy, Christopher Bell, really, really like him. Thought he had a good chance. Goes out, wins the pole, stays up in the top two, swaps with Kyle Larson. A great, great day for him. But really, really disappointing when you look at the way things could have went, especially guys like Christopher Buescher got no points today. A guy just got disqualified, and he's now 50 points out, which we'll talk about next. Definitely could have been some momentum there, with William Byron not really challenging to win this race either. Could have made up some points there, and Toyota just didn't have it today outside of one driver.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go a little different perspective. I think good day that was really under the radar was Brad Keselowski. I think he led a lot of laps. He contended. He was competitive. He ran top 5 for most of the race. I think he led laps, top 3 a lot of times. I think a very good day for him, very solid day. He had a very rough round of 12, and he came to Vegas ready to gamble and had a good day. I think bad day, I think Toyota, awful besides Christopher Bell. I also think Tyler Reddick, in my opinion, probably was the worst. I know, Christopher Buescher, very disappointed, especially seeing how Keselowski ran. But I was disappointed on Reddick. I don't think he was a factor all day. I think at one point he said, I feel like my car's good, and he's running like 9th or 10th.
Yeah.
And he even said, it's like, my car's good, but, just didn't have the speed. So I was very, toward a yes, bad day. But I think I'm going to go with more like a Reddick, because I just felt like they were just a non-factor, especially we talking more of a mile and a half. So, maybe we put a Hamlin and Reddick in there because they were both disappointing to me. But I think if your point of the Toyota is very much on point.
Well, here is the standings, and I want to highlight something to you because this is wild. So we got Kyle Larson, who is in, and none of these guys are out of it outside of Christopher Buescher. Definitely needs to earn points. Ryan Blaney is the one that got disqualified, so he has to win a race.
Yeah, he's got to win.
But these guys 2 through 7, well, definitely 2 through 6, could be manipulated in any type of way, depending on what happens next week. But here's the funny thing is Christopher Bell was actually 2 points out and ends up being 3 points out because of Ryan Blaney being disqualified and Martin Truex gaining another spot. So hopefully it does not come down to Martinsville and Christopher Bell needs that extra point and doesn't have it because the guy got disqualified. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely pathways there, and we'll talk about that, in the weekly show on our picks for Miami and Miami Homestead, whatever you want to call it. And, who we think ends up having a chance to really, really make up some ground there. But, it just not a lot of guys did a lot of moving. I mean, William Byron, what do you have, 17-point lead and now has 11? It's
11.
Just, it just seems like a lot of guys didn't move a lot.
His day wasn't terrible.
No.
I mean, I feel like he was top 5, top 7 all day. I mean, we're sitting here saying, man, you had a rough day. And it's like, man, you didn't really run outside the top 7 at all. If we want to go on a good day, I know we said Toyota sucked, but can we give a round of applause for Martin Truex for his first top 10 in the playoffs? Holy crap. I mean, come on now. And he barely got that. He had to fight for it. And he's still in the top 4. And this is, I know we're on a completely different topic here, but that's the whole point of the playoffs. He could do this exact same thing all the way through, get still in the playoffs, and then go on Phoenix and run good and win a championship. But I know that's a whole different topic. But round of applause, Martin. Good. Finally, top 10 in the since Watkins Glen of August. Wow, almost 3 months.
Well, a guy that helped him get another spot, again, was Ryan Blaney with a disqualification. And that's why we probably might as well just end up doing these shows around 9:30 or 10 when the races are about 2 hours over, because it seems like somebody is getting something here recently more than ever. And if you did not know, he had a left shock that was not met. It did not meet the length requirements. So he automatically got disqualified, gets credited for a 36th place. And for somebody that, traditionally hasn't been great at Las Vegas or the mile and a half. Travis now has to win and get in.
Ah, man, his best bet is Martinsville. You got to think about Larson's going to go there. He's going to just absolutely just rim ride. He has nothing to lose. He's going to go there and rim ride. Reddick's going to rim ride. Obviously, Bell's running good. Hamlin, he's got to get lucky. I mean, let's just be honest. If he wants to get through Homestead, he's going to get a bunch of points, get off sequence. But when you come to, his best bet's going to be Martinsville. And I don't remember how he ran there in the spring, but that's his best bet. I mean, I don't think he's got a lick of a chance when he comes to Homestead. I think there's just too many good people in the mile and a half right now. You got too many people that are absolutely phenomenal at running the wall. So, I was wrong. I didn't really count Christopher Bell in here, and he ran great. But, Ryan Blaine's got to do something crazy at Homestead and then maybe just try to win at Martinsville. But just always remember, people, there's two types of people in the world when it comes to racing. There are cheaters, and then there are losers. Just remember, there's no winners. There's cheaters and there's losers. Ryan Blaney was a cheater that got caught.
He was a cheater and a loser, like
Chase
Briscoe.
Yes. Hey, there's cheaters and there's losers. If you ain't trying, you're probably not winning.
So he finished 7th in the spring.
Did he?
In that race? Yes. And actually, Mark Truex and Denny Hamlin finished in the top 5, and your boy won.
Yeah, well, yeah. You expect anything different?
I don't know. I almost went in Martin's dog coma there. So if you've never had a red wiener, that's what they serve there with a bunch of other stuff, and it's only $2.
And how much is it for a bag? How much is it for a bag?
It's the equivalent. So you get 10 of them for $20.
Oh, I got you.
But if you try to eat 10 of them, you will die. I mean, there's just no question about it. You will die. That's like doing the cinnamon and cracker challenge at the same time.
They don't even look appetizing to me. I mean, let's just be real. I don't like hot dogs that much, but they just don't look like. I mean, you just look at it and go, that just doesn't look good to me.
No, and I'm not gonna sit here and talk up the Martinsville hot dog, but it's all right to be like, I'll try 1 or 2 of those, and then I don't know, 200 laps in, you're like, I could use some chicken tenders, and they're like, no, man, all we got is this hot dog, and you're like,
we got this hot dog.
Cool. I'll just go throw up behind the truck after we eat. No big deal. It's not a problem. Well, Travis, do you have anything more for us on this week's race?
No, I think look forward to obviously love seeing Larson win. I thought it was a great show at the end. I thought Christopher Bell could have been a little bit more aggressive, but I was glad he wasn't. It was good to see, Brad up there. Chastain had a lot of speed as well. Again, I think I don't know where we're gonna see it at Homestead. I think if NBC does not put that spoiler camera on Larson, I'm going to be questioning NBC, because that boy is going to only run the wall the whole entire race because he has 0 to lose.
Right.
I'm going to question NBC's decision if they don't do that.
It'll for sure be on Tyler Reddick's as well. But
it's going to be on Reddick's. They always put it on Reddick's. I just question. Maybe it's just because I love Larson, but whatever. Well, but I think overall, I think it was a good race. It was kind of disappointing how, I guess not disappointing, but it was kind of disappointing to see how some of the people ran, especially, who we expected to be good. So kind of threw us for a loop.
The one thing that I would say moving forward to the middle of the week, I'm sure we'll probably get Ty Dillon news for all you people that are really, really into that. Myself, I'm more interested to see where Sheldon Creed goes. So, I mean, we're late into this. So I expect, Noah Gragson news possibly if he ends up going to the 10. So there's definitely some silly season stuff, to still happen. And we're in the middle of October. So, I mean, it has to be getting locked up now because a lot of these teams are looking forward to next year already. I mean, this is a sport that starts in the middle of February. This is the longest running sport in all North American series because you get 2 months off. That's about it. 2.5 months off. So yeah, I expect that, and we'll see what else ends up happening, in the middle of the week as well. But I do want to say this, thank you everybody that helped get to the 500 subscribers. We had a great week with that. We had over right about 600 people that have watched one of the episodes, and moving forward on other platforms as well. We've had about 1,000 people this week, tune in. So again, we appreciate all that you guys do to support. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want all your NASCAR news, information, and hopefully not watch Travis celebrate another Kyle Larson win. That's going to do it,
the championship.
Oh my God, I'll throw up. That's going to do it for us here. We'll see you next time on Second to Catchfence.